Hey guys, Yips here, coming at you with another video, and this one is going to be about Antoran High Command. The build I'm running on this boss is Writhe, Contagion, Soul Harvest, and Death's Embrace. I'm using Helmet and Safuz on this boss. The way I'm proccing Safuz is on the Pyromancer when they spawn. The Fireballs, you just kick that with your Doomguard, procs your Safuz, lets you do a lot of extra damage. And I want to talk to you guys about how to DPS in this boss fight. Now, this is a multiple target boss, meaning that there's a lot of ads that are going to be spawning that you're going to be dotting. There's a lot of extra shard gen that's going to be happening. So the way that you play and the way that you formulate your shards and reap and your soul harvest all come into play, and I want to emphasize that in this video. So the way that I play on this boss fight is every single time a set of ads spawns, my first priority is to get them all dotted with Agony. The reason being is when I get them all dotted with Agony, my next Unstable Affliction that I cast will cause all of those ads to take 15% increased damage from my dots. That's really big if you if you're not putting your Agonies on the ads and you're just putting Corruptions on them and you're casting UA, they're not getting that 15% extra damage bonus, so that's really important. But not only after I cast those Agonies, I'm making sure that I get UAs on them and Corruptions in order to not only have Contagion on them, plus the 21 or the tier 21 set bonus, but also have both of my dots, Agony and Corruption, to do maximum amount of damage. So that's really the gist of the fight. The fight is not a hard fight to DPS as a Warlock as long as you're able to keep track of your dots. All you're doing is maintaining your Agonies, your Corruptions, and Unstable Afflictions on multiple targets. The way you're going to put yourself above the rest of the other Warlocks is by increasing your shard generation via the usage of Drain Soul. So throughout this video, what you're going to see me doing a lot of the times is when ads start to get low on HP, I'm really focusing not only on doing damage to them because my Death's Embrace will cause me to do more DPS to them, but I'm also super focused on making sure that I Drain Soul them for increased shard generation, okay? Every single time an ad gets low, you'll see here, this girl is getting low, the Pyromancer. I'll Drain Soul her. I went from 2 shards to 4 shards, and now I'm at 5. This is what's going to separate you from other Warlocks on this boss fight if you're doing a good job maintaining your dots. If you're having a hard time maintaining, multiple Agonies as well as Corruptions and then putting Contagion on all of those ads, if that seems a little bit daunting to you, maybe focusing on your shard generation outside of that is going to be a little too much, and you should just focus on maintaining your dots at first. But once you're comfortable on an Affliction Warlock, you really need to start pushing yourself and focusing on the additional drain snipes. On a boss like this, on High Command, not only do you have, probably about 40 to 50% more shard gen simply because you have multiple Agonies out, every single time 3 ads spawns, that's 3 free shards for you. That's absolutely huge. It's like 60% of your resource bar, and as we know, UAs hit for 4 million each. It's pretty crazy. So obviously, when ads get low, make sure that you're draining them for that shard gen. That being said, this requires preparation. Okay, you need to be prepared to Drain Soul those ads, otherwise it's not going to do you very good. This means you have to be really efficient with your globals because you need to be on a low shard count when ads are getting low. This just generally means you want to be casting as many UAs as you can during high damage times being Wrath of Consumption and Reap phases. So you'll see here, the 3 ad spawns, I'm at 2 shards, I'll get my dots out, I'll cast some UAs to get my tier 21 set bonus, I'm spreading Contagion, but throughout this fight, you'll see I'm always on a low shard count because I know that every single time those ads are going to get low, I'm just going to have such a huge influx that I need to have the space to deal with it. It's not like I can be at 5 shards and drain those ads and I'll be able to use those shards. Warlock doesn't work like that. You need to put yourself in a position to be prepared to drain. So you see there, I went to 0 shards, the ads died, and now I'm back up to 5. That's probably a very crucial part in the video. If you just want to go back and watch that, you'll see me. I literally went from having 0 shards to 5 in 1 second. And that's the whole, role of an Affliction Warlock on this boss fight. There's some other minor things to kind of focus on. That's Soul Harvest usage. Obviously, you want to be using your Soul Harvest when there's ads available on the boss fight. So obviously, if you have 3 ads and you're able to put Agonies on all of those, you're going to be getting additional Soul Harvest uptime, and that's really important. So never use your Soul Harvest if ads aren't active. That's one really important thing. Another thing is to be aware of your execute. So when ads are low, you're dealing increased damage to them. Sometimes it's not a bad idea to throw a UA or two on an ad that's at 50%. So when it starts getting into that execute range, those are dealing more damage. It's not really a big thing though, because those ads are dying so quickly anyways, that damage bonus doesn't really matter too much. But the main things on this boss is you want to make sure you're using your soul harvest at a good time, make sure you're using your racial at a good time, and your new pot. But those are just fairly basic lock mechanics. The really, really important thing is to manage your shard count, manage the way that you're playing in terms of your dots, and you're going to do really, really, really good DPS, and it's going to prepare you as a warlock for a lot of other fights in the future, because this is the kind of stuff that lock really shines on. Quickly before this boss goes down, I do want to touch on mythic difficulty a little bit, because on mythic difficulty, this boss fight does change a little bit. The way that this boss fight changes is you get bats. Bats spawn, they don't have a lot of health. Typically a raid group of 20 members of a mythic raiding team will kill those bats extremely quickly. Those bats are also just, they're like little geese just carrying in soul shards. You don't even have to dot them. All you have to do is drain soul them while they're dying, get those additional shards, and throw them back into the boss. So it's even more of a juicy fight for warlocks on mythic, because you have even more ads that you can pad soul shards off of, and you're just casting more and more and more and more and more unstable afflictions. It just becomes crazy. So just make sure that every single time ads are getting low, like just here, I'm sniping for those shards, getting my shard count up, casting those UAs, sniping shards again here, casting those UAs back into the boss, and constantly be focused on doing that, okay? So hopefully this helped you guys out on this boss fight. Hopefully it's not too confusing. I know it's a lot to micromanage on this boss fight. This is where Affliction skill cap really comes into play. I will say, if you're struggling on a boss like this, running Absolute Corruption is not the end of the world. You definitely can run that talent with Sacrolash. It does make it a little bit easier, because you don't have to be maintaining Corruption on the ads. You just actually have to be maintaining your agonies, which is not nearly as difficult. It literally cuts down your work in half. And it allows you to snipe more shards, right? Because if you're constantly having to maintain corruptions on things, it just cuts down your workload so much, because it just cuts down your dottage by like 4 dots on, every 20 seconds or whatever it is, right? So you see here the boss fight is giving over. I'm making sure that I'm consistently proccing my Safus, getting those additional shards, throwing into the boss, and we end up killing him here on Heroic. So hopefully you guys like this video. Hopefully it gave you some insight. Try out some different builds on this boss. A lot do work. I think this is the best one for tier 21. Anyways, that's it for me today. Hope you guys liked it, and I will see you guys later.